education, and I don't think you'll be bored by any means.
I know you'll.
Kimberly's going to introduce her next speaker. After this, we will have a happy hour with some food and drinks, all complimentary again, out in the foyer. If you're interested in continuing education credits, please visit the Virgin's booth and meet with Howard Booth, actually, this is his last name too, and he can give you information on how to get continuing education. Okay?
All right, how's everybody doing first? Do we need like a 7th inning stretch? I was thinking, I'm just kidding. All right, one more, like Marita said, exciting topic that's certainly been on everybody's mind. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Jeremy Miller, who's the CEO of Lionfish Cybersecurity. Jeremy has a very distinguished career in technology and service, having founded and managed several tech companies that developed software as a service, SaaS solutions to address industry challenges. And as a former Green Beret, Jeremy proudly contributes to the cyber war effort aiming to protect the nation, its businesses, and their families from online threats. He currently serves as the president of the Special Forces Association Chapter 500 in Indiana, which aids soldiers transition from service. So Jeremy, welcome.
That's why it fell for him earlier. So is Emily in the room? She's still here?
She's here, but
Not in the room.
All right, well, she set a really high bar with these jokes, so I'm going to try it. What's that?
I want to hear one. Come on.
There you go. All right, ChatGPT says, being a DoD contractor is like being in a relationship where the government constantly says, I need more time to think about it. Meanwhile, you're already moved in, bought groceries, and they still haven't said yes to your proposal. All right, well, when she comes, you can tell her she got out joked on ChatGPT. Well, I've got a little short video I would like to play for you here real quick, and then we'll get into it. Well, I'll stop there, but yeah, so I'd like to get a feel for the room. I don't really have a good feel. How many of you are contractors? Only a handful. Okay. Okay, good. And so, well, you know, as many of you know, right, our nation is depending on you now to help protect our soldiers, airmen, and Navy people as well in the military. So we appreciate everything that you're doing. So this talk may be a little less interesting for you that aren't government contractors. You're already in the government. But it may be eye-opening for you to know the struggles that some of these smaller contractors go through to win your business. So what we're going to do is talk a little bit here. First of all, the first slide that I had up when I walked up here. So we actually are an ATP, which is an accredited training partner for CMMC for the CCP and the CCA licenses. So all these businesses that got to go through all of these checklists that have to be done, you know, we're teaching that in the field. So I'm just sharing it with you so you kind of understand where I'm coming from when I say my next stuff. So we'll begin with this overview, right? What are the challenges, or what is CMMC? What are the challenges in the compliance and opportunities of growth and the actionable steps? And I promise I won't be real long. Actually, I know, you know, Emily was apologetic about the lunch time. Well, I know you're going to go have alcohol, so we'll certainly keep that in mind. So on the cybersecurity maturity model, CMMC, it was developed for the defense to ensure that the contractors were doing the right thing and keeping this essential data in check. And again, I think I might be preaching to some of the choir, so I don't want to belabor some of this because you already know. But the ability to protect CUI is really the point of CMMC. And so what is CUI, right? CUI is a controlled unclassified information. And I'm just going to read this just so we're all on the same page. But controlled unclassified information is the unclassified information the United States government creates or possesses that requires safeguarding or dissemination controls limiting its distribution to those with a lawful government purpose. CUI may not be released to the public absent of further review. So the DoD CUI program established through Executive Order 13556. These are the standardized way of safeguarding the information. Okay, and those examples are here as we go through that. CUI markings to alert recipients of the special handling may be required to comply with law, regulations, or government-wide policies. For the DoD contractors, are you marking your material at CUI now? Right? I mean, that's a problem. Okay, great. We got a head shake.
We are.
You are? Good? Yeah. That's good. So you know, I kind of think about this from my time in the Special Forces. I'm like, okay, well, that's the stuff I need to go get. Right? If I'm the bad guy, right, it's already marked. I know which ones it is. So it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird, but it's what we're supposed to do, right? Yeah, so we'll go on. So the rules, let me see here. It's not my computer, so this stuff looks a little different, right? So CMMC has 3 different levels. As many of you have heard this, it's been coming down the pipe for some time. Everybody's like, well, when's it coming? When's it coming? Well, yeah, that's what's here. So level 1 is 17 controls that you've got to do. Many of the contractors are going to be in that boat that don't cover CUI in the fashion that some of the other ones will. The other is 110 controls with NIST 800-171. And of course, then you've got level 3 for the expert level, they call it, for 172 and 171. So it looks a little bit like this. Many of you have seen this image, been posted everywhere, people are talking about it, I won't belabor it. So, what do the contractors need to do? Well, they need to give their scores in so that they can continue to bid through the process, and they're going to go do a self-assessment allowed for level 1 and then put their scores up. Well, then you go into level 2 and 3, well, you need a third party. Sometimes you need a government agency to come in and overlook and do your things. Here's a website for those of you that need to put your SPUR score up. How many of the contractors have put a SPUR score up yet?
We have.
Yeah? Okay, good. Again, I think I'm preaching to the choir some of this. So, we'll move on. So, the scope of a CMMC is going to be for across the board here. So, obviously, the subcontractors are going to have to do it. What's come out recently is, and we all should have known this, is all the service companies that handle and help those subcontractors also need to have CMMC done, okay? And it's even gone beyond that, right, which is all the SaaS products that help the DoD clients in that space. They have to be FedRAMP, which is a much, as many of you already in here know, that's a much more invasive, harder one to get. So last week they had the final ruling, known as CFR 32. It was released to OIRA, meaning no more changes could be made. And so the only way for changes to be made is for both the House of Congress and the President to overturn the rule. So, for any defense contractor handling CUI, it's here, it's coming, and we should get a ruling, I don't know, nobody knows when, but maybe 30 to 60 days, and then they'll put it all into play. So, what are some challenges that you find? So, CMMC is not without its challenges, both financial and with the skills, right? It's tough in many ways. So first of all, it's a significant investment in cybersecurity tooling and training. You hear people talking about this is going to cost too much. According to the defense scopes, the federal registration, the Pentagon estimates cost. Okay, now I don't necessarily believe in all these, but this is what they report. Level 1 would be $4,000 to $6,000 to do. Level 2 self-assessment, $37,000 to $49,000, and then to get certification, $105,000 to $118,000 for level 2. That's a lot higher than what I've heard on the streets. Anybody heard anything different? Somebody's gone, not very many people have gone.
Well,
I got a hand?
we've had about the same for level 2.
You've heard or you've done?
Getting,
The certification's higher than I've seen, but certainly the self-assessment side, yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay, go ahead, please.
I was just to clarify, is that also the costs associated with implementing the controls and putting in the technology, or is that just the assessment?
just the assessment.
Okay.
Well, the certification part would be the controls are done.
Okay.
Yeah, the controls actually been done.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But we're using obviously in-house
Yep.
associates, right?
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and then you get into the larger level 3s, you're looking at $500,000 to $2.7 million, and even larger, $4 to $21 million. Holy cow. It's a lot. And they estimate that about $4 billion would be spent over the next 20 years. I had no idea the numbers were that high, to be honest with you. I knew they were going to be high, but that was a little shocking to me. So, we have other challenges. We got a skills shortage, right? Anybody hear that there's like 500,000 cyber jobs unfulfilled right now? Right? And you know, I'm gonna deviate a little bit here because I probably have a little bit of time, but if you think about this, and those 500,000 jobs, many of those are going to upper, mid-sized to enterprise companies. Okay? Now I'm going to make some other shocking things that I've realized since our focus in Lionfish. Just the state of Indiana, we have 105,000 businesses here, between 1 and 500 employees. 92,000 of them, 87%, have less than 20. That includes critical infrastructure, some local governments, and of course, a bunch of small businesses. All right? So I want to ask you, if all those jobs are going up there, where are all the people going to come and help everybody? Anybody? Yeah, right, exactly, crickets. Yeah, where are they coming from? Yeah, they're not. There's no cavalry coming. So you got to you got to build it up from the inside. And I'll share a couple things that we're doing just because it plays into this role. Is, you know, from a Green Beret's perspective, we go to a country and help raise an army, raise a village to help defend that country or whoever our adversary was. And we would train, equip, and deploy them on for what the U.S. wanted to do, right? We don't have that here. You know what? We've got one place where we got a standing army that's not been deployed. They don't know they're a standing army yet because they haven't been organized, which I'm trying to do, which is every university across the country. There are students sitting there that are learning that could be deployed to help implement this good cyber hygiene for every one of these small companies and for the critical infrastructure and local governments. Okay? So, but they're not, we don't have them. Everybody's playing, I was talking to Chris, I was talking to somebody, I don't think this was Chris, but somebody about maybe it was Chris before he left. Well, we're just shuffling people right now. I mean, you're shuffling this person from this company to that company, and then that company to this company, but it's not solving the problem. It's just solving somebody else's problem in the ecosystem, that somebody else loses somebody. So we got a big problem. So that's one. We got a skill shortage. Many of the MSPs, right? They even in MSPs, you think they're in IT, they don't necessarily know compliance or security. Some of them, they're just trying to some of them are getting their head wrapped around security. Now they need to learn compliance so they can actually help. So we're trying to help mobilize them as well. And then, of course, I told you a second ago that not only those subcontractors, MSPs need to be compliant, but also the SaaS companies. So we all got hit upside the head by this. I mean, we too, okay, have to go get FedRAMP now in order to be at the end of the day for the actual audit. And we can help a lot of people until then, but everybody needs to raise the tide. A rising tide helps all boats, and that's where we're all at. Contractors, MSPs, and SaaS companies. We're all in trouble. Okay, so on compliance complexity. Insurance that compliance is happening remains complex for the small companies. Oh my gosh, if you're a small company trying to do this yourself and do the work you're doing, it's not easy, right? Because you're too busy trying to make money so you can stay alive, let alone doing this. So it's very hard. And when you do get compliant, how do you keep compliant? Okay, so a simple example that I have up here is somebody leaves your company and you forget to turn off their access to whatever you gave them. Well, you're already out of compliance right now. I mean, from that standpoint alone. And that's just one simple example, and there's probably like 100 other ones that we could get. Okay, so let's see where we at. So what are the opportunities for the subcontractors right now? Well, not everybody's going to get it done. Okay, what have I got here? I got something here. Well, first of all, once you get your compliance, it'll make it easier to get your cyber insurance. That's going to be complex here soon, right? Because if you don't have cyber insurance and all this other stuff, and cyber insurance sometimes didn't want to give you insurance if you're not already doing certain cyber hygienes to help you be. They might not call it compliance, but it's cyber hygiene, and a lot of that in compliance is good cyber hygiene. So it will help you do that. New businesses, there's a huge opportunity because not all the small businesses are going to get it done. So you're going to be standing in line going, hey, I can help, and you got your stuff done. So you'll be in a good place. And what other verticals in your industry or in other industries that your product services could be used now because you are compliant, because some other large enterprise company wouldn't use you because you didn't have any compliance. Well, now you'll have that opportunity as well. So being compliant is going to give you a lot of breadth and width to your company. Okay, so CMMC compliance differentiate your business. We said those that are not ready will miss out. And the DoD's budget request now is $849 billion next year. So obviously there's going to be some money spent. Who's it going to go to? So actionable steps. First, people have been preaching, go get ready, go start your NIST. You're supposed to be doing it anyways for the DFARS, all this stuff, but you need to really get going now. Okay, you got to get going because what's going to happen is everybody's going to be waiting in line to get done. There's not enough people to do it. We're training some of the people that are going to come out and audit you. We're training people coming out to help you get it done, right? And we know that there's not enough people to help everybody. Okay, so you better get in line, or you're going to be waiting in line, and you'll probably have to just say, hey, look, I'm willing to pay you extra if you can get me up in the front line. That's not going to be fun. Whatever, right? Whatever you're doing. Okay. Again, if you're a small company, you probably want to get an expert to help you. The Cyber AB marketplace is a good place to go. There are RPs, the registered practitioners. Now, they only have about 4 to 5 hours on CMMC, okay? If they have about $500 to get this designation, I'm not knocking it, but that's what they get, okay? And it's a little more complex than that. And I only know that mostly because I'm in the space, right? And we train people to the higher level. So when you're looking at a CMMC professional, CCP, and a CCA, respectively, they get 40 hours of training each, and then they have to go take a certification, okay? A license to get that. So invest in cybersecurity tools and training, and find an expert to help you. So conclusion, oh my gosh. It's essential to get these contracts secured and take the necessary steps, but at the end, how do you eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time, and that's the same thing with CMMC and any kind of compliance. So I'll stop there. I think I'm probably good on time, but thank you. I'll wait for questions.
Questions?
Oh.
Frank's got one. Frank?
Hi, Brian Brown, CSCI. Are you staying after this? Because I could use your time to talk this topic.
Yeah, I'll be here.
The question I have, it's sort of like a cart before the horse. I think a lot of small businesses have the question of, okay, what contracts do we have today? What space do we want to be in? And what is going to be the CMMC level assigned to those? And because then that drives sort of where you want to be, right? And it seems to be a really big black hole. And my understanding is contracting is going to assign those, but it's hard to know where your contracts are going to fall today, even.
Yeah, so I can't answer that from the DoD's perspective. However, I can share my perspective on things. So, well, certainly you want to be level 1 because everybody's going to need that. So might as well get those done. And if you're in a space where you're going to, you know you're going to be handling CUI, then it's coming and you're going to have to do it. If you don't, I mean, if you're not handling CUI and then I wouldn't worry about it going to level 2. Yeah.
Yeah, but you get into the issue too, right, where everybody's slapping CUI regardless of what it is because it's a CYA, right? So there's no real analysis done, but the bottom line is it says CUI on it.
Yeah, right. So they're and if you don't get level 2 done, then you're not in the running for another larger contractor to bring you as a sub, right? Because now they got a need and you can't do it. So why not just go ahead and just get it all done, get the level 2? That's my opinion. And there's rumors that many other things in the government are going to follow this pathway. By the way. So I've even heard rumor, and I don't know, it's rumor, that even the healthcare system will get away from HIPAA into calling it CUI kind of thing, right? And having that kind of a level of control. And these other federal governments are looking at this. We got countries that are changing to adopt NIST 171 basically, right? Which is CMMC, but it's just kind of confusing, right? Why didn't this, it's NIST 171.
So as a quick note, so for the CUI thing, my understanding was when the executive order came out, each of the secretaries in the cabinet were asked how they could comply with CUI. Because it's basically replacing FOUO.
Yeah.
So apologies, just a little government context, because I have been inundated by CUI from a fire hose for the past month. And really, it's providing a bit of oomph behind actually protecting information we consider valuable. And so the reason you're seeing it on everything is it turns out very little is actually unclassified without caveats in the DoD, which makes a lot of sense. But now we actually have teeth behind making sure it's not FOIA'd or distributed or, people find out about it in the War Thunder computer game or whatever. But yeah, my understanding is the DNI or the National Intelligence Director was the only director who basically said no, we're sticking with FOUO. But I think everybody else has been marching towards having something stated as CUI. So I could see certainly Health and Human Services, right, as an executive department would be moving in that direction.
Yeah. And think if you think you're just supplying food somewhere, right? And you're going to be supplying 1,000, 10,000 meals somewhere. would that be helpful for the enemy to know we got 10,000 people going some way? And you're going, I'm just delivering some meals. Why do I have to call that CUI? Well, it tells troop movements. It tells things that we probably don't want people to know. So, and, is there another question? And I'm going to add something that's a little bit beyond this. So, obviously we've all seen what Israel's done with pagers and with walkie-talkies and all these things. I saw something that was like 15 years in the making or something. I don't know, some crazy thing where they got in the supply chain. They controlled the supply chain with shell companies and this and that, right? And the DoD's trying to eliminate that by saying, make sure you show your office and all that. They're trying to eliminate that. But who controls most of our supply chain right now in the world? China. Now, if Israel was smart enough 15 years ago to start down this path, or we have been, if you followed some of the things that we've done covertly with getting in systems and getting in wires and things like that from other countries, how much do you think China's done with the stuff you got deployed right now in your systems? It's beyond me right now, but I'm just saying, I think there's some real big issues somewhere, and I'm just bringing it up because it's a problem, but I'd hate to see China turn something on and we start having a bunch of little things blowing up, and already we talked about them being in their critical infrastructure, right? Why are they there? They're not stealing data. They're there to turn it off and cause havoc and chaos in our country, right? So we've got to fix that. And how do we do that? We don't have enough people. I'll share this. I gave a talk in front of the Association of Counties last week, and I basically told them, I said, hey, have you guys ever seen Red Dawn? They're like, oh yeah. I said, well, who like me wanted to be Patrick Swayze, right? And of course, a couple people did. And I said, look, China's not parachuting in, they're in your wire now. What are you doing? We've got to do something. And so I hope I struck a chord with them. I was very frank with them in that manner because they are the front line. I say, hey, why do we celebrate vets? Because they leave their family, they go protect us. Well, you are the front line now. You're the front line. Just like all you subcontractors. You're the front line for our military. And they need you. So, all right. Thanks. If there's no other questions, I'll stop.
Yeah, thank you.
And that concludes our day. I hope everyone had a full day of knowledge and education and networking. Again, please join us outside in the foyer. We'll have drinks and food, and thank you again. Hope to see you next year.